I'm just going to shut that door. Right, we'll get started now. So firstly, kind of welcome to everybody for joining the call. If there are any other people that come, I will just let them into the call. If you just keep yourselves on mute as you have. If at any point, obviously, you've got any questions, just please fire away, and obviously I can go through them with you. There will be time at the end as well, where we can obviously go through any questions in the room or obviously online. Obviously, a lot of you come today wanting to understand what the new opportunity and the new starter package that we've got with Progressive. So we'll obviously be unpacking that, giving you an understanding of what that actually looks like. In terms of the objectives for me today, to make sure that I give you a feel for the culture and the business values that sit inside the business. Give you a better understanding of the business opportunity, the market, what that potential looks like. Give you an understanding of the earning potential as well, because it is a business opportunity, so what that looks like and how that's broken down in terms of margin, where the revenue comes from. You'll understand next steps. Hopefully at this point you'll have an idea whether you think the opportunity is right for you or something that you'd like to progress. And if that is the case, what we'll do for those people that are online, we'll follow it up with a phone call. Obviously, anybody that's here in person, obviously, I'll have a sit-down chat at the end of the presentation. Anticipate the presentation running for around about 90 minutes, so it should be done around about 12:30, and I will try and bring it in on that time just to be sensitive to everybody's agenda and schedule that they've got planned today. So just giving you a bit of background on me. So sort of been involved in the sector for over 25 years now. So worked for various companies before I started Progressive, and then founded Progressive in 2006. All born out of a love for sport, physical activity, getting children active, wanting to make a difference in the community. And just engaging children in something that I, are really fond of, which is sport, physical activity. So I've been running Progressive now. We celebrate our 20th anniversary next year, so there might be a little bit of a party that we throw next year. Franchising for nearly 15 years now. 15 years exactly. We've got a network of franchisees. There's approximately 20 franchise territories across the UK. We've got a lot of franchisees that own more than one territory, and that's something we encourage with the right people. So you can scale up through the model, through the levels, and obviously increase the territory and increase the potential market opportunity with the business. I've also I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I can't say that was the case from like day one, but certainly I would describe myself as that now. So I've also founded other businesses, scaled other businesses, sold companies. I've acquired businesses as well. So kind of just like running a company. And I've run different types of businesses, but I would come back to service-based business. I enjoy being involved in a service business, which is people, building culture, teamship, all those things. So that might resonate with you as well in terms of the type of business that either you're involved in or you'd like to currently operate. In terms of Progressive and some numbers and some sort of impact that we have, obviously we measure the amount of children that we engage with on a weekly basis through our programs. It's approximately around about 75,000 children that will go through our programs. a week on a weekly basis. We engage with approximately around about 300 schools nationwide. That contributes to nearly 40,000 minutes of physical activity that are delivered every day by just over 200 physical activity professionals that operate underneath our brand. Underpinning everything that we do is a set of values. These values are something that we hold dear to us. Hopefully they do resonate with you as well. They are things that when I look back when I started the business, sort of day one, they were things that I certainly did. Ensuring children were safe, well looked after. It was the right positive environment for children to be in, and I was responsible for creating that. I've always had a pride in what we do, and always acted with integrity, trust, and honesty, and a passion for the sector. I've always, from day one as well, started the business, cared for the customer, gone above and beyond, built lasting relationships. In a service-based business, it is all about the relationships, not just that the leaders create, but it's also everybody in the organisation, especially those people that are front of line delivering the services. It's incredibly important, and it is about performing your roles. So whatever your role is that you play in the business, making sure that is true to who we are as a company, and it's about inspiring and encouraging children to be physically active. So those values and standards run through the business. They're not just a sticker on the wall. We need to bring those things to life. So we do that in terms of how we recruit people, how we retain people, how we reward people, and they are really part of the fabric and DNA of who we are at Progressive. And hopefully some of those things, resonate with you, and their values that you hold dearly as well, because then we know there's alignment around what's important to you, what's important to us, and then obviously we're getting the right people into the network to carry the business forward in a different location. In terms of where we are, we're on a growth journey. We really want to accelerate our growth over the next few years. We see the new opportunity that we've got as part of that, but we're really keen to become the largest provider of physical activity, physical education, childcare across the UK. There's unprecedented demand. There's real opportunities, which obviously some of that I'll unpack in a minute. But yeah, no, we're really keen to push ahead, and obviously we want the right people to join us on that journey, and let's take them steps together to get the business and the brand where we believe it should be as the front runner in the market. What I'll do now is I'll just give you a bit of information, I suppose, a flavour on the culture of the business, some of the values. What I want to do now is move into this new opportunity that has come about. So what we've done is taken part of what is already in the Progressive model and has become a bigger part of the business over the last 18 months. And we're now offering it as a single opportunity, and it's now going to be our entry level into the franchise. And it's really geared around breakfast clubs, after school clubs, and holiday clubs. So serving that before and after club market, also referred to as wraparound, and then also holiday clubs. There's obviously 12 weeks of the year where the kids aren't in schools, so we serve that market during those periods. And these services are tapping into probably the childcare market. We definitely have a strong thread that runs through the business around physical activity and sport. That is who we are as a business, and we never lose sight of that. It does have that slight childcare element to it, though, because we have to cater for that and have a holistic approach to what schools want and also what parents want. But the thread really running through it is physical activity, sport, getting kids active. But the services are operated during those hours. You can run standalone clubs as well, which might run for a shorter period. They might be 3:15 to 4:15, an hour and a half after school, and they can be more just sports-based clubs. that's certainly an option to get into schools and obviously have conversations around these particular services. And 89% of working parents struggle to find quality after school care. Some of you obviously on the call will be parents. So it is about finding safe Ofsted registered spaces where you're comfortable, leaving your child in a safe space where not only they're going to be safe and looked after, but they're also going to have a good time and have plenty of fun and be engaged. And that's obviously what our provision aims to do, whether that's before, after school, or during holidays. Our approach with the wraparound is something we've been operating now for we're going into our second year in September of operating wraparound. There's lots of opportunities. I've got some use cases and business cases of people that have been involved in the wraparound sector for a little bit longer. But there's a real movement towards organisations like ourselves now starting to move more into probably what we might consider childcare more. But as I said, really with that sport, physical activity approach to it. And what we've created 4 zones. So to allow children holistically to take part in the before and after school activities, they can free flow through the activities. We've got an active zone where we might do things like soft archery, darts or dodgeball, things that can be done indoors, but we do bolt on standalone clubs to those activities as well. So we will have things running alongside that, whether that's football, tennis, cricket, whatever it might be. We have standalone clubs that form part of that. We have a wellness zone where children can just chill a little bit more with their friends, whatever that might be, but just have an environment where children have some quiet space where they can relax. We have a discovery zone, so we might do things like Lego, Play-Doh, different types of building science, maybe some STEM activities also within that zone. And then we've got a creative zone, so we're doing maybe more of the arts, crafts activities. We get adult-led activities to be run in those zones every night. And then also, as I said, children can free flow through those activities over the course of every evening. And we've got all the collateral that goes with that. When we're talking to schools and head teachers in particular, they're big on the quality of the provision, enriching the children's experience. They really like the concept of the zones and how that works. And that's been a helpful differentiator when we've gone into the market, talked to head teachers and senior leaders within schools, and they really like that approach in terms of how we can cater for the needs of the children. As I said, we can run these activities standalone, and where we will focus on that is with the sport element. But the full wraparound offer does need to be more holistic in its approach, just to meet the needs of all the children that might be attending the club. I will go through some financial models and financing and pricing and stuff later on, but just to give you a flavour of what wraparound before and after school care looks like from our perspective. Holiday camps, they form obviously a big part of what we do as well. So typically 8:30 to 5:30. Again, the thread of physical activity, sport, getting children active is our main driver. We do allow children, and there's times where they can have quiet zones. They can do the arts and crafts as well. But as you can see from it, it's marketed in a way where it very much is. It's progressive active camps, children being physically active, children getting access to lots of different sports is really the theme of our holiday camps. We also work with a lot of HAF providers. So a lot of councils have funding. So we access the funding through an application process. We get awarded a grant to allow children who are entitled to free school meals to access our programs free of charge. To give you an idea of what that might look like, we've come into the end of our summer program now. We've seen over 4,000 bookings in Staffordshire of HAF children. That's roughly around about 600 unique children that have been through our holiday program. That's just on the half program. Obviously, we've got paid customers on top of that as well. So we probably this summer have had, would be anywhere between 12 to 1,300 children that would have been through our programs. We roughly ran about 9 to 10 venues each week, and we run it for 5 weeks. So there's approximately around about 50 days of provision that that parents can access in local venues around Staffordshire. That obviously goes on nationwide through our franchise network. But yeah, there's lots of opportunities for this. You know, parents are always looking at things that their children can do during school holidays, and we're a good, effective solution, an affordable solution, but also something that's operated in a safe space like a school and gives children the opportunity to be active. With the opportunity that we're looking at now, you know, who is this opportunity for? It probably is a little bit more, or can be more on the lifestyle end. Equally, it can be scaled and grown into a bigger business. But what we wanted to do is give people an opportunity to enter our business model at a lower entry point, lower commitment, maybe work around their current lifestyle or their work commitments and not having to work, you know, long hours. You know, you can definitely run this part of the business on, you know, 25 hours a week. In some instances, depends on obviously your work situation, but it could be run as a part-time business as well alongside something else. But that's obviously something we'd explore with you and understand obviously what your current work commitments look like. So people that might be interested in this model, not exclusively, but obviously returning parents, whether that's moms, dads looking for more balance, they don't want to go back to work full time. That might be some people that might be interested in this opportunity. Childcare workers or sports coaches, people who are already involved in the sectors, they have sector experience, they're just looking for their natural next step to operate in a business. And also maybe more entrepreneurial people who've already got a business but are looking at another business opportunities to bolt into things that they're currently doing. We feel this is the type of people that will be involved, would be interested in this, the opportunity that we've got. You may or may not fall into any of those brackets, but kindly broadly speaking, we feel these are the types of people that will be interested in the opportunity that we've got currently. So just going through some of the landscape, the challenges, what the current, you know, environment that we work in looks like. Only 56% of local authorities in England have enough holiday care for working parents. So there's obviously a need, a supply and demand need here, where obviously there's not enough supply of stuff to meet the demand. And that's not going to be the instance in obviously every area, but there's, according to some data, there's obviously certain areas which are underserviced. Only 45% of children meet the chief medical officer's recommended 60 minutes of daily physical activity. So there's more than half of children who aren't physically active enough. You know, through our before and after school provision, through our holiday provision, we can ensure children are more than active, more than 60 minutes as recommended by the CMO of the World Health Organization. 80% of UK primary schools manage wraparound care in-house and often lack the energy to give it the love it needs. That's quite a significant number, and it's not in every area, but in our experience in some areas, it is as high as that. So that creates an opportunity, because schools, you know, main priority is the education, the learning of the children during the school day. Sometimes running the before and after school club within the school can become a distraction, and it can drag the head teacher into things that they don't necessarily want to get involved in or shouldn't have to get involved in. So the externalization of wraparound to external providers like ourselves, I think we're going to see a big migration of that over the next few years as more companies like ourselves position a really good offer that can be win-win for both parties, and we can really put that commercial energy, that operational energy into it to enhance it and improve it. And that's something certainly we are doing currently, and our franchisees are doing as well. But that for me, there's a big opportunity there, and we are seeing more and more providers, private providers, enter this market. On average, the UK household spends just over 7,000 a year on childcare. So that's roughly around about £138 per week. So as you can see, some of you obviously will be parents and know whether that's before, after school or holiday care. Childcare is expensive. We are one of the most expensive countries, developed countries, for childcare costs for parents. I think the UK government recognises that. There are some potential changes that will happen to how childcare is subsidised, which drives demand up, but also makes childcare more affordable for parents. Because in some instances, it can be 25% of their outgoings could be paying for childcare costs. So it is a considerable cost to parents. And as I said, the UK government are looking at ways to support parents. There's already stuff in place, but I think we feel they're prepared to go a little bit further, because there's other developed countries that certainly, as a percentage of their GDP, do subsidise childcare a lot more. And we're hoping the UK government will go that little bit step further, and we are seeing Labour that are putting some other initiatives together, like free breakfast clubs and what that might look like. So we do think it's part of an agenda and a policy that the government are prepared to put more money into. Over 75% of UK households have both parents working. That can be stressful at times, trying to juggle childcare and managing it, who's doing drop-off, who's doing pick-up, speaking to the employer about finishing early. All these things make it incredibly hard sometimes for parents to juggle it. So they do need to provide, or do need to find, solutions for who's looking after the children. And that's where obviously wraparound comes in, because obviously the provision operates in some cases from 7:30 till 6, or even possibly later if there's a demand for it. That then allows working parents to do the work, and the childcare or picking the children up doesn't interfere with the actual working day, which again is another thing that the government want more working parents to be able to afford childcare. So it gets them to either increase hours, go back to work more. Again, that should drive GDP up in the country, and then the government get a return obviously on the investment that they're prepared to make. I should say, at any point, if you do want to dive in or anything, just ask. Although I have minimised the screen, so I don't know. I probably can't see you now. But just take yourself off mute if you've got any questions you want to ask. So there are funding pots available. So I'll run through these three main pots. So we've got half. So currently, every council in the country receives roughly about £2 million per year, and that's to serve their local area. That's to allow children that qualify for free school meals to access holiday provision free of charge. HAF stands for Holiday Activities and Food Programme. So as well as accessing holiday activities, they also get fed on those activities, and they run at 3 points of the year. They run over Easter, they run over summer, and they also run during winter. And as I said, you apply for the funding direct with the council. It's an application process. They will approve or not approve the application. Obviously, what we've got lots of experience of putting applications through, and we know what they're looking for. So we've got lots of successful applications, which we obviously open up to our franchisees and help them and support them to access that funding. The government are currently testing free breakfast clubs. They ran a pilot scheme last term. They will be continuing with running some more pilots. They are planning doing a national rollout of this potentially next year, as long as that date doesn't get pushed, but they are talking about a national rollout next year. What this looks like could really drive demand, because obviously if it becomes free, then a lot of people are going to access it. And it's going to be, there's lots of challenges on how this actually works, and which is what the pilot will,
How would that get funded then?
So that'll be funded through the government will fund it.
Similar to like HAF?
Yeah, similar to HAF. So the government will fund those places for providers, or providers will access funding to have 50, 100 children accessing the Breakfast Club. We know with the pilot, they haven't allocated enough funding to it at the moment. So they do need to revise the numbers that they're prepared to give to providers to make it viable. But that's what this pilot period is through, so they can listen to schools, listen to providers, and hopefully we come to a sensible solution where it actually works, really. Because if it doesn't work commercially, whether it's a school or a provider, it's going to fall over. Yeah. But hopefully, obviously, the testing period will solve all those things, but that will create natural opportunity in the swell in the market as well.
So did the funding go to the school to go get outside providers, or did that go to the provider?
Either or, to go for the school or the provider. Whoever's running the provision would access the funding. In terms of wraparound funding as well, the government have had a big agenda around all schools where there's a demand staying open from 8 till 6. They've invested 289 million, which comes to an end next year. And that is around either starting up wraparound provision with schools that don't have it, or looking at schools that do have the provision but might not be operating full provision. They might be operating a partial provision. By that we mean the timings that they're operating to, because the government wants the 8 till 6 offer, which then encourages parents to get back into work, increase hours, whatever that might be, but that increases GDP for the country. So that's the big agenda that's being pushed at the moment. And as I said, we're still in that funding period at the moment, which ends next year. The UK government invests 0.5% of its GDP into childcare. That's well below the OECD, so sort of like the major developed countries in the world. Most of those major developed countries contribute 0.8% of GDP to childcare. In some others, like some of the Nordic countries, it's as high as 1.5%. That is considerable sums. We're talking, just those small increments of not even a percent. 0.3% is a considerable sum of extra funding that would go into supporting working parents with childcare costs. So we're really hopeful. We're really confident that the government listens to the challenges, the pains of parents, providers, schools, and does invest more into childcare. And we have seen a trend over the last sort of 20 years of this happening. We've seen a lot more funding going down to nursery age children. You probably will have heard some of the headlines where, the funding's available now, 3 hours are available, down from 9 months. Where it used to be 3 years, 2 years, it's gone down to 9 months now, where parents can access 33 hours. So what we're asking for is that trend not just being 0 to 5, looking at the primary age children and making sure, there's decent subsidies for parents of children of primary age. And there is funding available for parents as tax-free childcare, universal credit. But what we're asking for them is to go a little bit further. And we feel they are prepared to go a little bit further. They are looking at a childcare reform. And that childcare reform, we believe, will happen next year. We're part of the School Age Childcare Association. We are lobbying government at the moment. Progressive are part of this association So we're lobbying the Department for Education, who are lobbying government for a childcare reform. If reform does happen, we anticipate demand will go up, because if the biggest barrier for parents, whether it's accessing holiday provision, whether it's accessing wraparound care, is the cost. When you survey parents, the biggest barrier is the cost. So if the government are willing to make childcare costs cheaper through subsidies, through entitlements that parents can access, that will drive demand up. If demand goes up, obviously the revenue goes up, not necessarily with more additional costs, because a 10% increase might only be 2 or 3 children, so it won't affect ratios. Doesn't mean you need to put more labour cost in. It's just extra revenue, extra profit that's created. So these numbers are real numbers. These aren't made up. These are our numbers when we took them at end of June. So the schools that we operate in Staffordshire, currently there's 12 wraparound sites that we operate in. There's weekly bookings of 1,500. There's revenue of just under 11,000 a week. The occupancy is 42% on that. So as you can see, there's, we've got, big scope, 58% of occupancy going up to achieve 100%. The goal is not to get to 100% because that's a bit far-fetched. But if demand was to go up because affordability went down for parents, even by 10%, you're looking at nearly £3,000 extra a week, nearly 100,000 extra a year, no additional costs. 20%, you're nearly looking at 200,000 over the course of the year, probably no additional cost. The only additional incremental cost you will have is on feeding the kids, but that's pence. If it went up 30%, you're talking nearly £300,000 in additional revenue with no additional costs, minimal additional costs. So we think that our market is about to explode again. We've had various periods over the last sort of 15, 20 years where the market's gone. It's gone up, it's gone up, it's gone up. It's a very different market to when I first started. There's lots of different funding pots. There's lots of investment that we've seen over the years from the government, whether that's improving PE in school sport, whether it's HAF programs, whether it's wraparound funding, whether it's school games, whatever it is, there's always been lots of different pots of money, and that's just been increased over the years. This is only my opinion, but it's the opinion of obviously somebody that's been involved in the sector for over 25 years. But if a childcare reform does come, the market will go again, and it will go big time. What that does mean is more providers expanding geographically. It means more investment into the sector, whether that's private, public funding. But we're gearing up. We're placing a bet on this happening. And we've got some real big growth plans ourselves over the next 18 months to make sure that we're ready for this in terms of acquisition of new schools. Now, kind of, I suppose it contradicts a little bit the offer. We're not saying you have to go all in and, operate a business that does 2-3 million a year. If you want that, you can do that. But it still can be very much a lifestyle business, and I'll give you some numbers that do prove that as well. So even if you wanted to operate 1 or 2 schools, keep it smaller, more lifestyle, you can do that as well. And obviously you will benefit of any potential childcare reform that does potentially happen. The biggest player in our market does 70 million in revenue. They are PE backed, so they've got private equity investors in their business. There are other big players as well, but they're the biggest company in terms of wraparound care and holiday care. I think a couple of things just on this slide. I think if I was you, I'd be looking at it going opportunity. You know, there's obviously clearly a big opportunity. You know, if a company's generating 70 million pounds worth of revenue, there's obviously clearly a big opportunity in the market. This company is backed by private equity, so investors are looking at the sector, going, it's a sector they want to invest in. There'll be more private equity that enters our sector. I believe over the next 2 years, 5 years, there will be multiple companies that are doing 8 figures, 10 million, 20 million a year, and maybe even pushing companies like Junior Adventure Groups further. I want to caveat this with, look, you don't have to operate a business that size, and it's not me saying you have to, but I just want to illustrate the opportunity in the market is there. The opportunity is there in the sector. So that's really what I want to just illustrate with this slide. Yeah. AI. Okay, why am I talking about AI? AI is disrupting lots and lots and lots of sectors. Is currently, will continue to do that. You might even be in a job where your job could be at risk of being replaced by AI. AI will support on the fringes of our sectors, whether that's helping with admin, marketing, content, whatever. What AI will never replace in our sector is the human delivering the service. So if you're looking at investing in a business, then you really do need to think and pay attention to AI, because if you're going into a sector that could be disrupted, your business could be wiped out in 12, 18 months, 2 years. I'm pretty confident in saying that that won't happen to our type of business, because safeguarding the children, parents will want that human connection. Of course, AI will play a part, but it'll play a part on the fringes of what we do, not the actual delivery of what we do. So I feel our business is AI proof, and that is important, especially if you're investing in a business and something that is just disrupting so much stuff and will disrupt going forward so many sectors. So our sector is pretty resilient to that. Just some success stories. So we've got James Evans that's been with us approximately about 3 years now, but over the last 18 months, you know, with our guidance, with our support, has been operating more and more wraparounds. So this figure, so just in wraparounds, he's added an additional £160,000 worth of his revenue. We've also got Chris and Pete that operate, well, have the biggest standalone school driven standalone wraparound within our network. The one school they work in delivers over £200,000 worth of revenue, and that's just from one school. There are schools out there like that. There's probably, I mean, I am guessing a little bit, but probably 1 in 30 schools could be a school like this. So they're like 3-form entry. So they've got probably 450 to 600 plus kids. They're in affluent areas. Both parents work. The demand's high. You've got like 100 children a night on your clubs, and that just drives. It can drive up to £250,000 revenue from one school.
With James's additional revenue, how many schools would that look like?
So that would be it's between 6 to 8. I'd say I haven't got an approximate number. It's about 6 to 8 schools. So he has got some smaller schools. I mean, Chris and Pete have as well, but they've got one unicorn school really, which is just like they're the ones you want. If you grab one of them, get hold of one of them, then you could just run a business on that and just get your cigar out and just but they are, I'd say 1 in 30 schools probably in every area, probably that type of school. You've got to find the right people. So we've got, you know, a strict sort of selection, onboarding and retention process that we run through. So we work with you to find the right people, and it's all underpinned by our values of safety, pride, care, and perform. And that underpins obviously how we recruit people. and how we retain them and onboard them into the business. But we'll work with you to find and identify who the right people are. We also can put people through apprenticeships, so we've got a training provider that we work closely with, but we deliver and tutor the apprenticeships from here. So they're the provider, but we have in-house tutors from our end that tutor people on level 4 sports coach, level 3 childcare, level 2 community activator coach. So we can obviously help you to recruit apprentices, because they're always part of the mix as well in terms of your labour. And it's nice having apprentices in the business because you've got a pathway to develop them and improve them, and buy into the business, and they can grow with you.
Blank canvas.
Yeah, they're a blank canvas as well. Yeah, sometimes you're not taking on that. Yeah, or other things that you are with some people. So sales, marketing. I believe we're pretty good at this. You've got to, with any business, regardless whether it's our business or not, a business has got to have the ability to generate leads, turn those leads into customers, and obviously then deliver on the promise that we make to those customers. But the first part of any process with running a business is lead generation. If you've got effective systems and processes or know-how or IP, or an offer that you put that offer out and that offer creates interest, then obviously winner. Then we just scale it, invest more into it, and off we go. We're pretty good at it. I think probably what we've had is lots of periods of testing, learning what works, what doesn't work, what offer works best. And we've got proof and concepts that we know will generate inquiries. And that's really one of the things why people will look at franchise-based businesses, because a lot of the failing's been done. Route A to B will take you much quicker than you would on your own. Success is generally lots of failing, and then eventually you get there. But obviously what we're trying to do, because we've done all the failing, is we shortcut all that. We've got good collateral as well, so brochures, marketing material. Obviously the website is a lead generation tool as well. So all those things are dropped in, business in a box style. You've got it all, day one, let's go. And then this is the process that we need to run. This is the process that we need to follow to generate leads and generate interest in what we're doing. So yeah, there's for those that are in the room, they've scattered some of our collateral on the desk, but there's loads of different marketing assets that we've got, whether that's video campaigns that we've put together, brochures, sort of landing pages to generate leads. The website is obviously an asset for the business. How to write HAF reports or HAF applications, they're assets that can obviously generate revenue. Again, we're always looking at that, always improving. We recently, just under 2 years ago, took on a head of marketing, Josh. So Josh is instrumental in running our campaigns, analysing what's working, what's not working, and yeah, our output and the quality of what we've been doing has improved over the last 2 years. And because we're doing it daily, we obviously feed all that information through to franchisees in terms of what's working, what's not working, and there's weekly touch points with the network to support them with their marketing efforts. In terms of support, so obviously we invest into developing and supporting the network. So we do that through various touch points over the course of the year. So we've got initial training that we run with everybody that starts with us. So there's 5 days of initial training. There's monthly calls. There's weekly calls that we do with everybody. There's visits. So whether we visit you, you visit us, those visits go on throughout the course of the year. We run growth days here, where we've got speakers come in, or we're running specific workshops on things. We've got annual franchise trainings, and next week we've got our training week, which we're running. So we've got 3 days of CPD, 1 day of business training. As we train the team, we've got NGBs coming along. We've got people doing speaking sessions. We've got all types of people that come along to support our network to grow and develop and improve, and really operate a better business each year and invest in the people. Obviously, with being a service-based business, we need to invest in the team, and it's a great opportunity to pull everybody together and we have a good laugh, but very professional, around obviously developing and improving. We've got our supply chain, and of course we've got our franchisees, and it's important that we support each other. You will neighbour with people, so also you will meet and mix with our franchisees, and they're great people to obviously get involved with, and they can tell you obviously their own success stories, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and yeah, we can just be a support network for each other. These are just some of our key suppliers, whether it's equipment, uniform, training, website, print, insurance. In some instances, we will ask you to use our suppliers. In some instances, we're a bit more, should I say, a bit more fluid with it. But there are some suppliers you have to use, and that's to keep brand standards and things like that in place. But yeah, we will open up our supplier network to you. In terms of earnings, so what I've done here, I mean, I've got a lot more detailed things that we'll give you and provide to you after today. But just to give you some snapshots, like a good performing wraparound is anything that's doing over 100k. We would class that as a good performing wraparound. In terms of direct costs, once we take the cost out, gross profit we'd expect to be around about 65,000. And then once you've taken your other overheads out, so whether that's just resources, equipment, or even other operating costs, you're going to be left with around about 50,000 profit in a site like that. If you've got an average performing site, still healthy margins, but it's going to be around about 25,000 on those numbers. A site that's doing around about 100k is obviously doing just over £3,000 a week. That's probably around about 40 children-ish a night attending. One that's doing around about 60k is going to be around about 25 children a night attending. The average wraparound in terms of revenue would generate around about 50k. As I said, we have got some unicorns that will do over 200, but as an average, they're around about 50k per school. So again, it's obviously how many schools. When you look at a company like Jags, we know they serve over 200 schools in England. So obviously that's how you can get up to the really, really, really big numbers. But even if you were operating in 10 schools, we'd anticipate that should be doing £500,000 in revenue. But as I said, in terms of, I've got some other calculations and other things which I will share with you. Obviously, when we progress things with people, we build out a financial model with them. So a proper cash flow, proper forecast, 2 years, and then things that you can use to go to the bank or have if you need to access funds, but also giving you a clear sight of what the business needs to achieve in the next 12 months, 2 years, and that forms part of your targets and goals. But happy to answer any more questions around earnings, but hopefully that gives you just an insight into sort of wraparound. Anything under probably 30k revenue, you're probably breaking even. So you'll break even. So it needs to do in terms of revenue more than that. Really, it needs to do probably on before and after school about 750 a week in revenue, which probably is around about 10 kids a night. You're breaking even. So you've got to, once you're over 10 kids a night, then you're into profit. So the franchise package, don't worry about the costs at the side. These are just what we feel the value of those standalone costs are. But obviously they're things that you get within it. So you get the license to operate the franchise. The territory with a starter package is 35 schools. You get marketing assets, business training, program training, equipment, resources, clothing, website. The investment that we're running at the moment, this investment will be at 9,950. What we're doing for the first 5 people that secure a franchise at that level, we have discounted it, but it will only be this price once. Once those 5 spaces and 5 launch prices have gone, they've gone. We have only soft launched this opportunity to people on our list. So anybody not on our list is not aware of this, but we will be putting it out to the world at some point. We will be obviously telling everybody what we're doing, but we have just soft launched it to our current list. We have got a couple of people that we're already speaking to as well, so there might potentially be 2 spaces that have already gone that came to our last Discovery Day. So these are the new packages that we're running. So obviously the opportunity I'm talking about is level 1, which we're discounting for the first 5 sales. Then you got level 2, level 3. Once you get into the level 2 and level 3, that's when you can do the other parts of what we do as a business. So the PE, school sport aspects, PE lessons, enrichment activities in schools. You can at any point move up the levels. You don't have to pay the fee again. We just ask for the incremental difference in the territory size going up. So as you can see, the size of the territories go up to 125 and up to 200 on our top package. Obviously, the more schools that you've got to go at, more potential revenue you've got to generate. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that's all pretty self-explanatory there. In terms of accessing funding, obviously we've got relationships with NatWest, but there are other pots of funding. There's also sometimes local funding as well. Just simply like use AI would be my suggestion to you. But even if you asked AI, can you find out if there's some funding available in my area, Nottinghamshire, for startup businesses? It will do some deep research and find out, because sometimes there is some local pots of funding, and sometimes they're grants as well, so you obviously don't have to pay them back. But there are other pots as well where you can access loans, and with most of this, although the initial investment, especially now we're discounting it for the first 5, is credit card sums. It's not a great deal of money, and that's not me being flippant. It isn't to invest in a business. But if you do need to access funds, because there might be some working capital that you need as well in the business to keep it running for the first 3 months, because it probably will take, you need to allow at least 3 months for you to get your first customer. We might be able to do it quicker, but I think we should allow 3 months to get the first customer, and that means you need some working capital to run the business, whether that's some cost you need to take out of the business to live on, or whether it's just some basic operating costs the business might have, like insurance, phone, some extra equipment you might want to buy. You just might need a little bit more in the pot, but we can help you work that out. It can be quite unique to each individual, so I can broad brush it, but I think if we get further down the line, obviously we can have a look at what your working capital would need to look like on top of the purchase price of the franchise. At some stage, you know, with every decision, not just this decision, but we all have to make decisions in life, don't we? And some people decide to stick with the status quo and stay swimming in the same ponds that they've always swum in. Some people take that leap and start a new chapter. And hopefully I've kind of explained it, illustrated it enough. I do think if that is a, you know, red ocean that we're about to jump into, where there's lots of new opportunities, I think the wraparound market, childcare reform, in my opinion, and it is only my opinion, but there are other opinions of people who are similarly respected in the sector. I believe our sector is about to go again in the next 18 months, 2 years. And I think now is a good time to jump and a good time to go. And that's with the right people, we're obviously happy to take that journey with you, and we'll support you and help you to build a successful business, a business whatever meets your needs and your lifestyle. But obviously we can only do so much. At some stage you need to jump. The franchise roadmap, just to give you an understanding. So if you go, consider you're at stage 1 at the moment. Obviously you're gathering information, considering the opportunity. Is it right for me? Is it not right for me? If it is right for you, then you will start a process of due diligence, which would work with you. But we wouldn't do any due diligence with you until a deposit's been secured. The deposit is £1,500, which is refundable, and also does come off the balance of anything, the amount that's outstanding. But then we'll work you with the diligence of financial diligence, due diligence, market research, legal diligence. Obviously you need to speak to a solicitor, the whole business planning, getting ready for training, and then off we go. Let's launch and operate the business and go. In terms of wraparound and holiday clubs, is there a good time to start? At any point is probably fine. Obviously, at a certain point, you don't start in December. There's not much point starting in December. But apart from that, apart from like December and August, most months are fine months to start for wraparound and holiday clubs. Obviously, you're gearing up towards the next holiday period: October half term, Christmas, Feb half term, Easter. So we'd obviously gear the business to the next holiday period. And then obviously in terms of after school clubs, wraparound care, that can start at any point whatsoever. So at any point a school would be looking to do that and to change provider or externalize it, take it from them doing it in-house to getting a provider to run it. There is around, you do probably need to allow about 12 weeks between securing or having a meeting with the school and the school say, yes, we'd love you to provide our wraparound or after school clubs. There tends to be like a 12-week process that we've got to run. Yeah, so you're working like a term. You're working into the next term really when you're going to start generating some revenue. The reason for that, Ofsted registration, because you have to be Ofsted registered, takes 8 to 10 weeks. Also, you've got to run other processes like recruitment, things like that. So recruitment and the Ofsted registration are the things that take the longest, but we need those in place to run the wraparound.
What would the recruitment take? Like 4 to 6 weeks or something?
Yeah, typically, yeah. I mean, we probably allow like 8 weeks, but yeah, I think it all depends on people's circumstances. And if they're in a generally notice period tends to be 4 weeks, doesn't it? As I mentioned earlier, you can secure on a £1,500 deposit, which then gets deducted off any balance. And that is me. I've come to the end. I've brought it in well in time, so we've obviously got plenty of time if anyone's got any questions or anything they'd like to ask. Obviously you can come off mute.
That was very informative. Thank you.
Cool.
There was a question I asked Kevin yesterday, and it's if that you guys have like a financial report of previous franchises and how they performed throughout the year. Obviously, I know you've mentioned how much they but like an actual report would be fantastic, just to see how it goes along the year.
No, we can give more financial information, Devon. Certainly we can. I mean, what I'm going to send through anyway, I'll send through a franchise information memorandum document.
Okay.
So on that document, it's got some profit and losses, so you can see, revenue, service lines, and then all the costs associated with that. And then when we get further down the line, we build out obviously a proper financial model.
Okay.
Month by month by month, in terms of what that actually looks like.
Okay. Another thing, in terms of facilities, I know you guys provide equipment as well, but when it comes to like after school clubs or before school clubs, what is it that you guys already have a facility, or you use the schools, or you kind of, is that something you look into together?
At schools, obviously the wraparound care, any after school activity takes place at the school.
Okay.
And then holiday courses, we tend to hire out schools. But we do use leisure centres from time to time, but like 95% of the time we use schools, because they're safe spaces, and as long as they've got adequate facilities, which most schools have. You can use high schools as well, as we do use some high schools from time to time, because they've obviously got better sports facilities. But there's lots of schools, and schools are really encouraged now, and because budgets can be tight for schools, it's another income for the schools. So they, most schools do look to hire out their premises to the community.
Okay. So I remember when I was younger, I used to go to this breakfast club before school. And they used to have, I think, like 3 schools of them, and we used to go to this outside facility, and then once it's over, we would jump in like a minivan, and they'll drop us to like our designated schools and stuff. But it just enables them to work with multiple schools, but obviously provide an extra service of dropping them to school.
No, that model does work in some areas, but I think that tends to happen where there's not enough demand from one school.
Okay.
Not enough demand from one school. They sometimes create like a hub of schools, and they cluster 3 schools together, and then there might be like collecting children, bringing them to one school for the breakfast club or the after school club.
Okay, it's a bit different now, because obviously it's like a necessity that you have a breakfast club now, isn't it?
Just like working parents, just like both parents tend to work now. Like the data is 75% of working parents, both parents work.
Okay. That's kind of all the questions that I had now, or anything I can think of.
Okay, cool.
I remember hearing that this meeting was recorded. Is it possible to get the recording as well?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I will.